With this video, we're going to look at the actual evidence for the theory of evolution. Remember that we've talked about evolution in several different scenarios, and we've looked at evolution with wolves that occurred over just 25 years. Now, this video is going to address the evidence that dates far back into the past, with different structures of organisms as well as molecular dating and so forth. One of the biggest parts of evidence for evolution is that organisms have similar structures. There's three types of structures that support the ideas that organisms adapt to their environment and inherit successful traits from their parents, and their parents, and their parents, and their parents. These structures are similar. There's three different types, and the first one we're going to talk about here is the homologous structures, and this is stating that similar structures are found within an organism, but they might have different purposes. So this could potentially show us that it's inherited from a common ancestor, and it's going to show variations in genes, or obviously DNA, and how those fit a need for the environment, and it's not just actual mutations. What I've got here is the same bones across 4 different organisms, but clearly they do far different functions. For example, the phalanges on the human are going to be able to use for gripping and grabbing things and manipulating things, whereas the cat's phalanges may help them to run faster, jump higher, climb trees, so forth. The whale, although they're similar structures, they're not the same. Clearly the whale's phalanges are going to assist in swimming, whereas the bat may use them for flight. Here I show homologous structures between humans and dogs. You can see the skull is similar in the dog. It's similar placement, serves a similar kind of idea, but it's slightly different than that of the human. Vestigial structures are structures that are no longer necessary, but remain there because there isn't actually selective pressure against them. Dogs have a dew claw, which used to be used for various hunting purposes, but they no longer use it anymore. But it doesn't hurt them, so it sticks around. There's no actual pressure against having it. So nothing in the environment said that they shouldn't have it anymore, so it was still passed on to their future generations. The next structure is an analogous structure, and this is stating that there's an actual different structure but serves a similar purpose. An example of this is a bat wing that has a very similar bone. So they have a similar structure, or a different structure, but a similar function. Okay. This is going to show that evolution makes similar adaptations given similar environments, just not going to result in the same bone, but the same function. Within your groups, please summarize, just compare and contrast the homologous and analogous structures. If you need some more time than what I allow for you, please don't worry about pausing the video. Just take that time that you need. Now we also have molecular similarities for evidence of evolution. This is sharing the same genetic code. All organisms, whether it be a plant, an animal, or whatever it may be, they're going to share the same exact nitrogen bases. A's, C's, T's, and G's. Remember, these are all found in our DNA. All organisms have the same DNA. It's just a different order. So organisms with a more recent common ancestor have more of the DNA in common. And when I say more DNA in common, what I'm referring to is the sequence, the order that those letters are found in. And this can be tested over and over again by looking at DNA from different species. If we look here, we were looking at the differences and the same sequences for humans at one protein called cytochrome C. And this is actually the DNA sequence that codes for the protein. Let me make sure I'm clear on that. And what we see here when we look is that at this specific DNA location, the chimp has 0 differences. 0 differences from humans, and I see that because there are no red boxes. The rhesus monkey has a difference located right here in the very middle, just one. And then we come down to this organism here. Again, only one difference. But then you start to see this difference is the same all the way down. So that could show a common relationship between that organism and these down here. Do you think that this could be the same for other genes? Or do you think that other genes could vary a lot more? We also use fossil evidence. This is going to just show that fossils collected from around the world show species changing over long periods of time. And we can look at layers. So this shows to be a more recent fossil compared to these down here, because as time goes by, layers of sediment are going to build up on each other. So these would be the oldest down here. Again, this is just kind of showing that, again, we use relative dating, and that's talking about the layering of the sediment, whereas radiometric dating is actually able to use isotopes, where dating are used together to tell us the actual age of the fossil. This is with a known margin of error, and we are actually going to do a half-life lab a little bit down the line to help clarify this. And we can see that over time, organisms have become far more complex as time has gone on. So most organisms that were once alive are actually now extinct. 5 major extinction periods when 60 to 95% of the organisms actually didn't survive. So life today might be similar, but it's most certainly different than what our records tell us about the past. And then now, selective breeding. We've been doing this for thousands of years by selecting for favorable traits within the variations that exist and allowing those individuals to selectively reproduce. Okay, we've done this over and over with the dogs, with wolves, and we can see that, the border collie is one of the smartest. And then, you've got dogs that are built for different things. Strength with the bulldog. The Chihuahua, I'm not exactly sure what it was bred for. And then you've actually got the Labrador Retriever or similar dogs that are just plain friendly and typically smart. And then we've got, all of these different types of plants and vegetables were all bred from the mustard seed. Cauliflower, kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, all derived from the mustard seed. And we have records of humans doing this just by selectively breeding these. And that's all I've got for you on here. We'll watch this summary video together a little bit later, but please discuss with your shoulder partners the 2 questions that I have written down for you in your group on Canvas, and be prepared for an exit slip as we leave class today, where you're going to have to summarize these topics we've discussed.